7 things bad people do when they know you know. Stoicism. The best revenge is not to be like your enemy. Marcus Aurelius. Stoicism teaches us to remain virtuous and calm, even when confronted with negative energy. But what happens when you encounter people who don't share these values, people whose intentions are toxic and manipulative? These individuals can be hard to spot, often hiding behind a mask of charm or normalcy. However, when they realize you see through their facade, their true nature starts to reveal itself. In this video, we'll explore 7 distinct behaviors that toxic people display when they know you know the truth about them. With insights from Stoic philosophy, Stoic in Your Life will help you recognize these signs early and equip you to deal with them calmly, confidently, and wisely. 1. Use guilt as a manipulation tactic. In the teachings of Stoicism, we are urged to govern our emotions with reason, refusing to let external pressures or the actions of others disrupt our inner peace. Yet, in the world we live in, many people, especially those with toxic tendencies, will attempt to manipulate us emotionally, and one of their most common strategies is guilt. It is a tactic designed to stir our sense of responsibility and compassion, pushing us to act in ways that serve their interest rather than our own. When these individuals recognize that we have seen through their behavior, they will often turn to guilt as a tool, trying to exploit our sense of duty or our desire to help. A toxic person might say things like, "If you really cared about me, you would do this for me," or "I've always supported you and this is how you repay me." These are not statements made out of genuine concern, but are calculated moves meant to manipulate your emotions, placing the blame squarely on your shoulders for their unhappiness or failures. The manipulation works because it preys on our human desire to do right by others, to be seen as compassionate and to avoid conflict. People who use guilt as a weapon know how to exploit this innate need. But the Stoic approach teaches us to recognize that we are not responsible for the emotions or actions of others. We are only responsible for how we respond to them. As Epictetus wisely stated, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. When someone tries to manipulate you with guilt, remember that their emotions are theirs to manage, not yours. By shifting the focus from their needs to your own principles, you can maintain your composure and act from a place of clarity rather than emotional pressure. In modern life might involve family members or close friends who, when faced with their own difficulties, might say things like, "I gave everything for you. How could you not return the favor now?" Or perhaps they claim, "If you don't help me, you're just as bad as everyone else who has let me down." In these moments, it's easy to feel cornered, overwhelmed by the weight of their words. But the Stoic response is to pause, reflect, and remember your own values. Don't let someone else's inability to handle their emotions become a justification for you to lose control over yours. Marcus Aurelius once remarked, "The best revenge is not to be like your enemy." In the context of guilt manipulation, this means that we must not let others drag us down to their level of emotional manipulation. Instead, we must hold steadfast to our values of virtue, fairness, and kindness, without letting guilt cloud our judgment. Recognizing guilt manipulation as a tactic is a crucial step in maintaining your emotional independence and peace of mind. Often, people who try to manipulate you with guilt will come disguised as victims, presenting themselves as helpless or wronged by the world. Their message is clear. "I need you to fix this for me. I need you to feel sorry for me." But the truth is, their guilt-driven narrative is less about their actual needs and more about gaining control over you. It is their way of shifting the responsibility for their emotions onto your shoulders, leaving you feeling burdened and responsible for their happiness or well-being. This is where the Stoic mindset comes in. Stoics believe that we must practice mindfulness and self-awareness in these situations, constantly reminding ourselves that we have no obligation to carry the emotional weight of others unless it is freely given. To avoid falling into the trap of emotional manipulation, begin by asking yourself, is this request truly aligned with my values? Is it based on genuine compassion, or is it rooted in guilt? It is essential to detach yourself from the emotional chaos others try to create. If a colleague or friend continually asks for favors but never reciprocates, and their responses are always filled with guilt-tripping phrases like, "You're the only one I can count on," take a moment to assess whether their actions are truly reflective of mutual respect, or if they are using you as a means to get what they want. No man is free who is not master of himself, as Epictetus puts it. The first step toward regaining your freedom from emotional manipulation is to recognize that you are not beholden to anyone's guilt-driven demands. By practicing mindfulness and staying grounded in Stoic principles, you can avoid being swept up in guilt manipulation. When you become aware of these tactics, you can take the necessary steps to respond with compassion, but not at the expense of your own mental and emotional well-being. It's also helpful to engage in regular self-reflection and ask yourself, am I helping because I want to, or am I doing this out of a sense of obligation or guilt? Stoic philosophy encourages us to act with virtue, and this includes having the clarity to discern between what is truly beneficial and what is merely an emotional trap. Do not let others weaponize your sense of responsibility against you. Stay true to your principles and do what is right, not because someone has made you feel guilty, but because it aligns with your own values. Practice detachment from the emotions of others, and remember that your peace of mind is the foundation from which all good actions should arise. When you are faced with guilt manipulation, take a deep breath, center yourself, and respond from a place of wisdom and inner strength. Just as the Stoic philosophers advise, be tolerant with others and strict with yourself. Learn to manage your own emotions with wisdom, while not allowing others to impose their emotional burdens upon you. 2. Create drama to distract you. In life, we all encounter individuals who, when they realize you can see through their falsehoods and manipulations, will do whatever it takes to distract you from their true intentions. One of their most common tactics is to create drama. These are the people who thrive on chaos. People who, when faced with exposure, initiate conflict where there is none, or escalate minor issues into major battles. Their goal is simple: to keep you off balance, cloud your judgment, and draw your focus away from their behavior. You might see this in action in the workplace, with a colleague who suddenly makes an issue out of a trivial disagreement. Or perhaps it's a friend who stirs up a confrontation with you over something that doesn't even matter, only to shift the attention to themselves, making it all about their problems instead of what they're hiding. When you're dealing with these kinds of people, you're caught in a whirlwind that makes it harder to see their true nature. They want you to be swept up in their drama, to get lost in their emotional turbulence so that you won't notice their manipulations, their lies, or their selfish actions. Think about a time when someone tried to draw you into drama. It could have been a family member who suddenly raised their voice over a minor issue, or a friend who tried to make you feel guilty for something insignificant, all in an attempt to shift the narrative. These people want to create confusion. The more confused you are, the less likely you are to notice the underlying issues that matter most. Their aim is to distract, to keep you spinning in circles, while they continue their manipulative behaviors. This is not a random act, it is deliberate, and it is meant to make you lose focus on what really matters. It's easy to get caught up in the whirlwind of emotions that come with these manufactured conflicts. After all, emotions are powerful, and when someone pulls you into an argument or exaggerates a problem, your first instinct might be to defend yourself, to engage, or to win the argument. But this only plays into their hands. In Stoic philosophy, one of the key teachings is to remain steady in the face of external chaos. The Stoics believed that we cannot control the actions of others, but we can control our own reactions. In a world filled with distractions and emotional storms, it is essential to maintain clarity and composure. Marcus Aurelius, a Stoic philosopher and Roman emperor, once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." When faced with drama, the Stoic response is to detach yourself emotionally from the situation. Rather than getting caught up in the fight or the distraction, Focus on maintaining your integrity and staying true to your values. This doesn't mean you ignore people or their problems. It simply means you don't allow their emotional chaos to dictate your state of mind. In today's social media-driven world, it's all too easy to be dragged into the drama of online debates or comment wars. Perhaps someone makes a provocative statement, or a friend starts an online argument, hoping to pull you into the fray. In those moments, the best thing you can do is step back and ask yourself, is this distraction helping me live a more meaningful life? Is it contributing to my growth or peace of mind? Often, the answer is no. By choosing to remain calm, you allow yourself to step out of the drama and continue focusing on what truly matters. As a Stoic, your aim is not to win every argument, but to preserve your peace and your ability to make wise decisions. This practice of self-control, of choosing not to be swept away by the storms of others, is vital in a world that is constantly filled with noise and chaos. A good story to illustrate this might involve a businessman who, in the midst of an intense project, has a colleague who frequently stirs up trouble. Whether it's spreading gossip, starting unnecessary debates, or inflating small issues into major conflicts, this colleague's goal is clear: to divert attention away from their lack of contribution and onto trivial matters that keep everyone distracted. At first, this businessman might be tempted to engage in these arguments, to defend his ideas or position, but over time he realizes that this only feeds the drama. Instead, he learns to keep his focus on the work at hand, remaining calm and collected, choosing to ignore the distractions. He doesn't need to argue or get involved in every petty issue. What matters is completing the task, staying focused, and acting with integrity. By detaching himself from the drama, he not only finds peace but also demonstrates leadership, staying true to his mission without getting bogged down by the noise. This is a powerful lesson that we can all apply in our lives. The next time someone tries to drag you into unnecessary drama or conflict, stop for a moment and ask yourself, is this distraction worth my time and energy? Am I allowing this person to steer me away from what really matters? The Stoic response is to remain unshaken by the external chaos, focusing instead on your own values and long-term goals. Recognizing drama for what it is, a diversion, is the first step in regaining control of your emotions and decisions. It's important to remember that we are not defined by the conflicts we engage in, but by how we rise above them. So when drama arises, stay calm, stay focused, and don't let the distractions of others rob you of your peace. As the Stoic philosopher Epictetus wisely said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." You have the power to choose your response, and by choosing to remain composed, you keep the focus on what truly matters. Remember that drama is nothing more than a diversion, a tactic designed to pull your attention away from the things that matter most. Stay focused, stay calm, and don't let the noise of the world interfere with your inner peace. Keep your eyes on the bigger picture, and you will find that the more you detach yourself from unnecessary drama, the more you can live in alignment with your true purpose. This is the Stoic way: to act with integrity, to remain grounded, and to never let external chaos dictate your inner calm. 3. Undermine your confidence and self-worth. Have you ever had someone subtly tear you down with just a few words? Maybe it was a comment on how you looked or the way you did something that didn't seem like much at first, but over time, it started to affect how you saw yourself. Toxic people often use this tactic to chip away at your confidence and self-worth, especially when they know you've seen through their facade. They do it through backhanded compliments, passive-aggressive remarks, or criticism disguised as constructive feedback. They know that if they can make you doubt yourself, they've gained control over you. But why do they do this? It's not because of anything you've done wrong, it's because of their own insecurities. By tearing you down, they attempt to elevate themselves in their own eyes. Think about it. How often have you been told, "I'm surprised you did that so well," or, "I guess that's the best you could do"? At first, these comments might seem innocent, maybe even flattering. But deep down, you start to feel less than, unsure of your abilities, and slowly, your confidence erodes. It's a subtle manipulation that slowly works its way into your psyche, leaving you questioning your worth, even though you are capable and strong. The truth is, this behavior is more about them than it is about you. A toxic person may try to make you feel small because it helps them feel better about themselves. Their words are rooted in insecurity, and when you internalize their negativity, you allow them to control how you feel. In Stoicism, we are taught to anchor our self-worth in something far more stable than the opinions of others. Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, reminds us that the happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. It's not what others say about you, but how you choose to perceive yourself that truly matters. Your value doesn't depend on external validation or the passing opinions of others. It comes from your own virtues, your integrity, and how you live in alignment with your values. When you know your worth is rooted in something deeper, you'll stop allowing the words of toxic people to shake you. This lesson is a difficult one, especially in a world where we often seek approval from those around us. But the power of Stoic thought lies in understanding that external validation is fleeting and unreliable. Think about a time when you sought approval from someone, only for it to be followed by a sting of criticism or an unsatisfactory response. It's a cycle, isn't it? One minute you're feeling on top of the world, the next minute you feel like you've been knocked down. The more you rely on others for your sense of self-worth, the more you become susceptible to these emotional roller coasters. But when you decide to place your value in something unshakable, like the virtue of being true to your principles, you begin to build a sense of self that no one can take away. The next time a toxic person tries to undermine you, remind yourself that their words are not a reflection of your value, but a reflection of their own insecurity. Stay true to who you are, and you'll find that their attempts to diminish you lose their power. One way to practice this is by reflecting daily on what you value in yourself, whether it's your resilience, your integrity, or your kindness. Reaffirm these qualities, and with time, you'll realize that you no longer need anyone else's approval to feel worthy. The words of others will no longer define your belief in yourself. Instead, you will be the one who defines your own worth. As when the next time someone tries to make you feel inferior, ask yourself, why should I let their insecurity affect how I see myself? What value do I place in my own life that is more than their words? The answer lies within you. It's not about shutting others out. It's about cultivating a belief in yourself that's so strong, no external force can shake it. As Epictetus, another Stoic philosopher, wisely said, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. You have the power to react, not by letting their negativity define you, but by reaffirming your own sense of worth. Stay rooted in your values, remain true to yourself, and know that your confidence and self-worth must come from within. When you stop allowing others to dictate how you feel about yourself, you'll not only regain control over your own life, but you'll also become immune to the manipulations of those who seek to tear you down. You are enough just as you are. Keep reminding yourself of that. 4. Show up only when needed. When you find someone who appears only when they stand to benefit, it's a classic sign of opportunistic behavior often seen in toxic individuals. They know exactly when and where to reappear, calculating their involvement to ensure personal gain, while disappearing as soon as the situation no longer serves them. This approach to relationships lacks sincerity, showing a complete disregard for the mutual respect and support that genuine connections are built upon. Such people view relationships not as bonds of shared experience or care, but as transactions, a means to an end rather than an end in itself. They may show up for a celebration, a moment of success, or even a crisis if it gives them the chance to appear supportive or compassionate in front of others. But as soon as their presence no longer serves a purpose, they fade away. The Stoic philosopher Seneca wisely pointed out, "It is quality rather than quantity that matters." This idea is central to modern Stoicism, a philosophy that urges us to recognize that true value in relationships isn't measured by how often someone is present or what they bring, but by the depth of their character and their willingness to be there unconditionally. In today's fast-paced, often transactional world, it's easy to encounter people who cultivate connections for personal gain, especially in professional or social circles where status or opportunity is at play. Modern Stoicism teaches us that we should seek relationships with individuals whose presence isn't governed by convenience or profit, but by a shared commitment to growth, support, and authenticity. Let's consider a modern story that demonstrates this. A successful businesswoman named Helen, who built her career on resilience and integrity, noticed that a certain acquaintance, Tom, only contacted her during her peaks, her promotion, her major project successes, her public recognition. Every time Helen faced a setback, whether personal or professional, Tom was nowhere to be found. At first, Helen was puzzled, thinking perhaps she had done something to drive him away, but eventually she recognized the pattern of Tom's behavior. He valued her presence only in moments where he could gain something from being seen with her or benefit from her insight when things were going well. By applying Stoic wisdom, Helen came to accept that some people are drawn to others for reasons that have nothing to do with genuine friendship. Instead of allowing herself to feel resentment or confusion, she chose not to emotionally invest in that relationship any longer. Marcus Aurelius advised, "Accept the things to which fate binds you, and love the people with whom fate brings you together, but do so with all your heart." This teaching in modern Stoicism reminds us that while we should seek to embrace the relationships we encounter in life, it's equally essential to discern which ones are worth nurturing and which ones, like Tom's, are best let go without regret. Modern Stoicism thus teaches us not only to be open-hearted, but also to cultivate a discerning eye, learning to see the value in relationships that are grounded in mutual respect rather than in hidden agendas. In observing such opportunistic behavior, ask yourself, does this person's involvement reflect a genuine commitment, or is it conditional? Stoicism encourages us to avoid emotional entanglements with those who are driven by self-interest alone, for investing deeply in such connections often leads to disappointment or disillusionment. The Stoic approach is to anchor oneself in relationships that offer stability, trust, and reciprocity, qualities that are neither fleeting nor based on a transactional mindset. It's not about shutting people out or judging harshly, but about recognizing that healthy connections don't fluctuate with the tides of personal gain. We must, as Stoics, strive to build bonds with those who show up in both sunshine and rain, who celebrate with us, but also stand by us in hardship. In today's life, where appearances often take precedence over substance, it's common to encounter people who present themselves as steadfast friends or allies, only to disappear at the first sign of challenge. This is where the value of Stoic secrets becomes invaluable. It teaches us that while we can't control others' behavior, we can control how much we allow them to impact us. Modern Stoicism reminds us that by not allowing ourselves to be swayed by the opportunistic nature of such individuals, we retain our inner peace and strength. We understand that our worth isn't determined by those who come and go based on their needs, but by those who stay grounded in loyalty and care. Consider this an invitation to examine the relationships in your own life. Who shows up not just in moments of celebration, but in times of trial and hardship? Stoicism teaches us that a wise person invests deeply in relationships that are mutually enriching and maintains a gentle detachment from those that aren't. This doesn't mean becoming cynical or distrusting of others, but rather approaching each relationship with clarity and intention. As you navigate the complex web of relationships, remember Seneca's insight that he who is wise does not grieve for things he has not, but rejoices for those which he has. By choosing to value authentic connections over fleeting interactions, you create a foundation of support and friendship that cannot be shaken by the whims of convenience. Let go of those who appear only when it's easy or beneficial for them, and cherish those who prove, through thick and thin, that they're genuinely there for you. The real strength lies in discerning these differences and embracing relationships that align with your values. In doing so, you cultivate a life filled with quality connections, ones that foster resilience, happiness, and peace, essential pillars in the journey of modern Stoicism. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this topic. Have you ever experienced someone trying to undermine your confidence or self-worth? Drop a comment below and share your thoughts. For example, one viewer shared, "I've had people try to put me down, but I've learned to ignore their negativity and focus on my own values." Do you agree that our self-worth should come from within, not from others? Let me know your perspective. 5. Make you feel inferior. Toxic individuals often have a knack for making those around them feel small, inadequate, or even unintelligent. This tactic, cloaked in subtle or sometimes outright criticism and manipulative comments, isn't just random behavior. It's a deliberate way of establishing control. When you're constantly second-guessing yourself, doubting your abilities, or questioning your worth, they succeed in positioning themselves as the authority in your life. The impact can be deeply unsettling. Over time, you may feel dependent on their approval, almost seeking validation from the very person who's undermining your self-esteem. Why do they do this? In many cases, it's rooted in their own insecurities. By tearing others down, they feel a false sense of power. This behavior, while harmful, reveals a profound inner weakness. If they were truly secure in themselves, they wouldn't need to diminish others to feel significant. Stoicism offers us a potent antidote to such manipulation, the belief that true worth comes from self-awareness, from understanding who we are, and not from anyone else's approval or validation. Think about a situation where someone's words made you feel less than. Perhaps it was a comment at work from a colleague or a seemingly innocent remark from a friend or family member. This type of behavior can catch us off guard, often because it's masked as constructive feedback or even honesty. Epictetus famously said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." This means that we always have the choice to interpret their words as reflections of them, not of us. Next time you're on the receiving end of a backhanded compliment or pointed criticism, pause and ask yourself, is this feedback constructive, or is it meant to erode my confidence? Such a question doesn't just help you evaluate their intentions. It also allows you to maintain control over your inner state. By keeping a clear view of your own value, independent of others' judgments, you safeguard your peace. A great story that illustrates this concept involves a talented graphic designer named Sarah. Sarah worked hard and poured her passion into her projects, consistently delivering quality work. However, she had a supervisor, Jack, who seemed to have a knack for finding flaws in her work, never acknowledging her achievements. Whenever Sarah came up with an innovative idea, Jack would downplay it or offer vague critiques, leaving her feeling constantly off balance and questioning her abilities. Over time, Sarah started believing that she wasn't good enough. Then, during a casual conversation with a mentor, she expressed her frustrations, and the mentor shared a piece of advice grounded in Stoic secrets. Your value doesn't change just because someone else refuses to see it. Inspired by this, Sarah took a step back, reevaluated her worth, and recognized that Jack's constant criticisms were more about his own need for control than her actual performance. She stopped looking to him for validation and started focusing on the pride she took in her own work. Eventually, her confidence became unshakable, and Jack's influence over her diminished entirely. Reflecting on stories like Sarah's, we can ask ourselves, are there people in our lives who subtly, or not so subtly, make us feel unworthy? If so, why do we let their words have such an impact? When we understand that others' opinions often reflect their own insecurities, we gain freedom from needing their validation. Seneca said, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." If we allow others' criticisms to haunt us, we're suffering needlessly, handing them control over our happiness. Stoic secrets teach us to be mindful of what we allow into our minds, especially when dealing with toxic people whose opinions are designed to manipulate rather than uplift. When facing these challenging situations, it's essential to cultivate what Stoics call the inner citadel, a resilient core of self-belief that remains untouched by external judgments. This doesn't mean we ignore all feedback. Instead, it means discerning between criticism that's helpful and that which is harmful. In the end, the lesson here is profound yet simple. The only opinion that truly matters is your own. If you know who you are, if you understand your strengths and are honest about your areas for growth, no one can make you feel inferior without your consent. Toxic individuals thrive on our self-doubt. But when we embrace the Stoic secrets of inner strength and self-awareness, their words lose their power. 6. Feigning innocence or ignorance. When it comes to identifying destructive behaviors, one tactic is especially hard to detect but incredibly damaging when you encounter it up close: feigning innocence or ignorance. You know the scene. Maybe you finally decide to confront someone about their actions. They've crossed a line, taken advantage, or caused harm, and now it's time to address it. But instead of owning up, they morph into the victim or act so clueless, so innocent, that they could win an Oscar. Their response goes something like, "What? I don't remember doing that." Or, "You must be mistaken. I would never do such a thing." This isn't just an accident or a slip of the memory. It's a tactic. They're trying to deflect, to make you doubt what you know happened, twisting reality just enough that you question yourself. Modern Stoicism offers a roadmap here. It tells us to stay firmly rooted in our sense of truth and avoid falling into their manipulation. Marcus Aurelius, a figurehead of Stoic philosophy, once said, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." In facing someone who feigns innocence, the lesson is not to let their lies shake the truth you already know. But you might wonder, why do they do it? Why go to such great lengths to play the victim or act naive? The answer lies in control. By pretending they're just too innocent to have done anything wrong, they keep you unsteady. They know that making you question your own reality hands them power over you. So here's where modern Stoicism steps in. Practicing Stoic principles means not giving them the satisfaction of shaking your reality. As Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." In moments like these, reacting with calm certainty, without needing their approval, is an act of strength. Think about it. When was the last time someone made you feel like you were walking on eggshells, that you might have misunderstood, or that maybe you were being too sensitive? These are red flags that manipulation may be at play. People who repeatedly feign innocence or ignorance to avoid accountability aren't simply forgetful or clumsy. They're working to undermine your trust in your own perception. They thrive on creating confusion because it makes you easier to control. Modern Stoicism teaches that while you can't control how others behave, you do have control over your responses, and responding from a place of groundedness and calm assurance, even when they're busy playing the innocent one, means they lose some of their grip over you. Seneca, another Stoic philosopher, once wrote, "He suffers more than necessary, who suffers before it is necessary." In other words, you don't have to suffer twice, once from their actions and again from doubting yourself. You can choose to stand firm in what you know, refusing to let their performance of innocence sway you. Let's be honest. It's easy to feel hurt, frustrated, even angry when someone pulls this kind of trickery. And if you're a person who values fairness, honesty, and directness, their behavior can make you question everything. Am I really overreacting? You might think. But that's exactly where they want you. This tactic isn't about an innocent misunderstanding. It's about steering you away from the truth. Modern Stoicism reminds us that our inner peace and self-worth don't depend on how others perceive us, especially not someone who's actively trying to manipulate that perception. The strength comes in knowing that you don't have to play their game. You don't have to explain or justify yourself endlessly. You simply need to be secure in what you know. A Stoic approach to this situation means standing in your truth without feeling compelled to convince them of it. It's about accepting that while you might never get them to admit wrongdoing, their admission doesn't change what you know happened. 7. Jealous of other people's success. Envy is one of those deeply rooted emotions that can fester silently, often creeping into people's lives without them realizing its impact. It emerges from the simple but damaging habit of comparing oneself to others. Envious individuals aren't necessarily motivated by what they lack, but by a desire to see others have less. When they witness someone else's success, instead of feeling inspired or happy, they feel a pang of sadness or even anger, as if someone else's progress somehow diminishes their own worth. But as Stoicism teaches us, happiness doesn't come from comparing our journey to someone else's. It arises from our own personal growth and dedication to achieving our goals. One of the Stoic secrets to a fulfilling life is learning to anchor your happiness internally, rather than seeking validation in the lives of others. For those who are consumed by envy, success isn't a shared joy but a source of bitterness because they view life as a competition, where others' achievements seem to undermine their own potential. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus reminds us, there is only one way to happiness, and that is to cease worrying about things which are beyond the power of our will. By allowing envy to guide their emotions, envious people give away their peace to something they cannot control, the lives of others. Consider a modern story to illustrate this. There's a man named Daniel, a competent, hard-working person who, despite his own accomplishments, can't help but feel uneasy when his friend Mark succeeds. Whenever Mark is praised at work, Daniel feels a familiar tightening in his chest, a mix of disappointment and frustration. It's not that Daniel lacks success himself. In fact, he's done well in his career. But rather than being satisfied, he feels diminished by his friend's achievements. He becomes hyper-aware of how others perceive him in comparison to Mark, feeling that if someone else shines, he somehow fades in their eyes. This envy eats away at him, slowly distancing him from a good friend and creating a quiet resentment he finds difficult to shake. Stoicism, and indeed modern Stoicism, would encourage Daniel to shift his focus inward, to recognize that his discontent doesn't stem from Mark's achievements but from his own unwillingness to value his unique path. If Daniel could practice this Stoic secret, he would understand that his own sense of worth is not, and should never be, tethered to another's success. In modern Stoicism, there's a powerful lesson here. Envy is, at its core, a distraction from self-growth. By focusing on the accomplishments of others, envious people waste valuable energy that could be used to better their own lives. As Seneca said, it is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more, that is poor. Envious people become prisoners of their comparisons, unable to appreciate their own journey because they are always measuring it against someone else's. So, why do so many people find themselves ensnared by envy? One reason is that we live in a world saturated with the highlight reels of others' lives, especially through social media. It's easy to fall into the trap of constant comparison when we're always seeing the best moments, the achievements, the celebrations and successes of others. But Stoic secrets remind us that these external validations are superficial and temporary. True contentment comes from aligning with our values and working toward our own goals. Stoicism teaches us to ground ourselves in what is real and within our control, our actions, our thoughts, our growth. Envy pulls us away from this grounding, making us restless and dissatisfied, always chasing an illusion rather than appreciating reality. As you reflect on this, consider asking yourself, are you placing your sense of self-worth in the hands of others' achievements, or are you grounded in your own unique path? The Stoics believed that a well-lived life is one in which we work tirelessly on self-improvement, seeking to align with our own virtues rather than competing against the standards of others. Smart people use these 3 strategies to handle being wronged. It's not the world that's the problem, it's the way we react to it. This quote by Epictetus captures the essence of what we often face in life, encountering people who may not always have our best interests at heart. We live in a world full of unpredictable individuals, and sometimes those we trust may reveal their true colors in ways that hurt us. Some may appear kind and genuine, only to later show a more manipulative or selfish side. The challenge lies not in predicting who will wrong us, but in how we respond when they do. In our journey, we will meet both good and bad people. That's unavoidable. But there's a saying that goes, "It's not the problem, it's the solution." When someone intends to harm you, no matter how much you try to protect yourself, the encounter will still happen. But what matters most is how you react. Instead of reacting out of anger or frustration, consider these 3 strategies that smart people use to handle being wronged. These principles not only protect your peace, but help you emerge stronger and wiser. Let's dive in. 1. Calm your emotions. In life, one of the greatest challenges we face is maintaining our composure when wronged by others. It's easy to become emotionally charged when someone betrays our trust, disrespects us, or takes advantage of our goodwill. Yet, the most important thing you can do in such moments is remain calm. The Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius once wisely said, "The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury." This teaches us that when faced with wrongdoing, the first response should be to not lose control of our emotions. When we allow anger, frustration, or sadness to overwhelm us, we lose our ability to think clearly and make the right decisions. Emotional turmoil clouds our judgment and often leads to regrettable actions. The true strength lies in staying centered and not letting external circumstances dictate our inner peace. In our modern lives, it's almost impossible to avoid encountering people who act unjustly. Some may lie, cheat, or manipulate their way to personal gain at the expense of others. You may experience someone criticizing you unfairly or taking credit for something you've done. In such moments, it's easy to fall into the trap of reacting impulsively, maybe lashing out in anger, or trying to prove them wrong in a hasty manner. But doing so only feeds the cycle of negativity. The Stoic principle of apatheia, or the ability to remain untroubled by external events, teaches us that we are in control of our reactions, not the circumstances or the actions of others. This requires practice, but once you start to master this ability, you'll notice that your response to provocation becomes less about the provocation itself and more about your own choice to remain calm. When someone wrongs you, the first step is to take a step back. Breathe deeply, assess the situation, and remind yourself that how you respond is within your control. This gives you the time and space to process the situation rationally without allowing your emotions to dictate your actions. When you can approach difficult situations with a calm and clear mind, you are much more likely to find a solution that serves your best interests and doesn't escalate the problem. The reality of life is that we cannot control how others behave, but we can control our responses. We can't always stop someone from doing something wrong to us, but we can control how we respond, and in doing so, we take away their power over us. By maintaining calm, we retain the dignity and peace of mind that no one can take away. 2. Don't play the same game. When you're wronged, it's natural to feel angry and upset. After all, your trust has been betrayed, and you might think that taking revenge or seeking justice is the only way to restore balance. But what if I told you that responding with anger or malice only puts you on the same level as the person who wronged you? The reality is, in these situations, playing the same game only leads to further harm, both to yourself and to those around you. Instead, the smartest thing you can do is rise above the situation, and this is where the wisdom of the Stoics comes in. Marcus Aurelius, a Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, famously said, "The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury." This simple yet powerful idea teaches us that true strength lies in choosing a different path from the one who wronged us, not by seeking revenge or retaliation, but by maintaining our integrity and character. When someone wrongs you, it can feel like an emotional punch to the gut. You might want to retaliate, to make them feel the same way you do. But what do you gain from that? Does it really make you feel better to see them suffer? Or does it simply mean you're stooping to their level? Picture this scenario. You've been working with a colleague who's been undermining you at every turn, spreading rumors and taking credit for your work. It's frustrating, and you can't help but feel the urge to lash out, to expose them for the manipulative person they are. But before you act, pause and ask yourself, if you retaliate, does it truly solve anything? Will it bring you peace, or will it just keep the cycle of negativity going? In many cases, the best response is to refuse to engage in the same petty game. An old saying reminds us, "One who endures one grievance will avoid 9 others." What does this mean? It suggests that when you choose not to engage with people who try to provoke you, you prevent yourself from falling into an endless cycle of conflict. Sometimes, simply recognizing that someone is plotting against you or trying to manipulate you is enough. There's no need to get involved in their game. Instead, live your life well, and let that be the most powerful form of revenge. By focusing on your own goals, growth, and happiness, you show that their attempts to bring you down have no power over you. It's not that you're weak or cowardly, it's that you're living smartly and protecting your peace of mind. In any relationship, whether personal or professional, there's always the potential for manipulation or malice. But the key is to maintain boundaries and protect your own interests. You don't have to play their game, because doing so only brings unnecessary drama and stress into your life. Instead, focus on being the best version of yourself, no matter how others behave. It's a reminder that your peace, your happiness, and your success don't have to be dependent on how others treat you. You control your own response, and the smartest people know that avoiding drama and staying true to your values is the most powerful way to live. Now I want to ask you, have you ever found yourself getting caught in a cycle of anger or revenge after someone wronged you? What would happen if, instead of retaliating, you chose to focus on your own growth and let them fade into the background? How might that change your life for the better? Let us know in the comments below. Share your thoughts or experiences with handling betrayal and manipulation. And remember, it's not about being passive or weak. It's about choosing a path that preserves your peace and leads to a happier, more fulfilled life. If you've stuck with me this far, you're already on the path to mastering resilience. Drop a comment saying, "I choose peace," to show you're ready to apply these strategies in your own life. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video. Let's spread this wisdom and keep growing together. The journey is just beginning. 3. Maintain appropriate distance. In life, we all encounter difficult people, those who, for one reason or another, seem to thrive on causing chaos or drama. It's easy to get caught up in the moment and want to confront them, challenge them, or fight back, especially when you feel wronged. But let me ask you this: is it worth your time and energy? More importantly, is engaging with them going to improve your situation, or just drain you emotionally, mentally, and even physically? Sometimes the smartest decision you can make is to simply walk away and maintain your distance. I know it's tempting to fight back, to prove a point, or to get even, but often the best course of action is to protect your peace and avoid unnecessary conflict. As the Stoic philosopher Epictetus once said, "Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants." In this context, the real wealth is your ability to choose where to invest your time, energy, and emotional resources. And when you're dealing with someone who's not worth it, the smartest thing you can do is let go and refuse to engage. Maintaining appropriate distance in the face of negativity or hostility is a powerful tool. When someone wrongs you, it's easy to feel the urge to retaliate or get back at them. But here's the truth: engaging in their drama only gives them power over your emotions, and the more energy you give to them, the more they control you. It's like playing into their hands, giving them exactly what they want: your focus, your time, and your peace of mind. Instead, take a step back and realize that your emotional and mental well-being are far more valuable than any petty fight. Now, don't get me wrong. This doesn't mean you should let people walk all over you. It simply means knowing when to choose your battles. Not every insult or slight is worth your emotional investment. There's a lot of wisdom in the old saying, pick your battles. By keeping your distance, you allow yourself the space to think clearly and make decisions that protect your peace and happiness. It's about being strategic with your energy. When you engage in unnecessary conflict, it pulls you into a negative spiral, and over time, it can affect your mindset, your mood, and even your health. That's why setting boundaries is so important. It's not about weakness, it's about self-respect and self-care. Think of it this way. When you maintain a healthy distance from negativity, you're not just protecting yourself from the immediate harm. You're also preventing that toxicity from taking root in your life. Next, have you ever found yourself in a situation where someone was deliberately trying to provoke you or drag you into their drama? How did it make you feel? Did it make the situation better, or did it only make things worse? I'm sure many of us can relate to the feeling of wanting to stand up for ourselves or defend our honor, but sometimes, the best way to stand tall is by simply walking away and keeping your peace intact. Remember, every interaction you have is a choice, and when you choose to distance yourself from negativity, you're making the decision to preserve your happiness, your clarity, and your sanity. Moreover, maintaining appropriate distance doesn't mean completely cutting off all communication with someone, especially if they are a part of your life, like a family member or a colleague. It simply means that you set clear boundaries. You don't let their behavior affect your emotional state or cause you to react impulsively. Instead, you calmly assess the situation, choose how to respond with dignity and restraint, and move forward without letting them steal your joy or peace. It's about taking control of your reactions and not letting someone else dictate how you feel. This kind of emotional intelligence is critical in today's world, where everyone seems to be rushing through life, reacting to situations without thinking them through. But as the Stoics teach us, true strength lies in responding to life with calmness, reason, and composure. It's easy to get caught up in the drama, but the most successful and peaceful people in the world are those who have mastered the art of detachment, the ability to stay calm, centered, and unaffected by external circumstances. As Marcus Aurelius once wisely said, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. So if you allow yourself to be constantly caught up in negativity or conflict, you're only allowing it to affect your peace of mind. By keeping a safe distance from such people, you allow yourself to focus on your own well-being and long-term happiness. If you haven't yet, I encourage you to try it next time. Choose peace, choose calmness, and choose to protect your energy. You'll find that the more you practice maintaining appropriate distance, the easier it becomes and the more peace you'll create in your life. Remember, the world will always have its share of challenging people and situations. The key is not to let them define your happiness or your future. Instead, protect your mental space, set your boundaries, and focus on living your life in a way that brings you fulfillment, peace, and joy. Life is too short to get lost in the negativity of others. Keep your distance, protect your peace, and keep moving forward. That's the true power in handling being wronged. As we wrap up, keep in mind that recognizing toxic behaviors is only the beginning. The real power lies in applying Stoic principles like calmness, resilience, and self-control in your daily life. These tools will help you stay grounded, maintain your inner peace, and protect yourself from negative influences. True strength isn't just about what happens to you, it's about how you choose to respond. So, how will you start applying these Stoic insights today? Share your thoughts or experiences in the comments below. If this video from Stoic in Your Life has resonated with you, don't hesitate to share it with others who could benefit. Let's walk the Stoic path together toward a life of peace, growth, and happiness.